Hey guys, what is going on? Welcome to Clutch Gaming. Today I'm going to be teaching you guys the proper way to install CFW, or otherwise known as custom firmware, onto your Nintendo Switch. I will be linking you guys to the official Nintendo homebrew guide that almost 90% of people follow. Now I just want to give you a fair warning that since this is a video guide, things can get out of date. However, the guide that I'm following hasn't changed in the actual steps achieving homebrew, hence why I'm making this video. I will not be taking any shortcuts from the guide. This video guide is merely here for you guys to see how the process is done correctly, in case you are having trouble reading through the guide for whatever reason it may be. Now, I will link the guide in the description to this video below, so please make sure to read through the guide as you follow this video. If there is a new step on there that isn't covered by my video guide, I highly suggest you follow that step and the current guide instead of this video. Now, some of the questions that you may have later on, I'm going to go ahead and answer that for you right now, such as what is RCM mode? Now, all credit goes to the homebrew guide, and I'll read out to you exactly what it says there. RCM is short for recovery mode, and it is a mode for the Switch that allows Nintendo to send the Switch commands to various things. Essentially, what people have found out was that on unpatched Switches, you could send a payload and then quickly copy it into the memory buffer behind the stack, overflowing the memory buffer into the stack. This means you smash the stack and you get full access to everything on the system. Now, this process is used to launch a program called Atmosphere on your Switch. Now, some of you may also have questions on what is SysNAND and EmuNAND, since those are going to be terms that are thrown around later on in the video and basically everywhere on hacked forums. Now, SysNAND stands for System NAND, meaning the internal storage of your Switch. EmuNAND or EmuMMC stands for an emulated NAND. This means that your entire NAND will run off your micro SD card with CFW. This means that everything on this partition is completely separate from your system NAND. Basically, you're running another switch inside your Switch while you're leaving your stock SysNAND clean. Now, depending on what you plan on using your Switch for, you may want an EmuNAND or you may not. Most people who use Emu are people who are doing some sort of illegal things, such as pirating games and whatnot. Now, your EmuNAND has to stay offline permanently if this is something that you do. And people have a misconception that they're safe because they are on their EmuNAND, and that means that they can go online with it and be safe. This isn't true. The second you go online on your EmuNAND and you switch over to your stock, the conflicting logs will get you banned. So there's a fair, so this is basically a fair warning for you guys. You are not 100% safe on EmuNAND. You have to keep that partition completely offline permanently. Now, I will not be teaching you how to pirate any games. No one has gotten banned for simply installing custom firmware on their Switch. It's based on what you do with your custom firmware that leads to bans, especially pirating games. Now, there are two methods on the guide that you can choose to follow. If you are simply using homebrew to mod games such as Pokemon or Animal Crossing, you don't need to install an EmuNAND, and you can choose the SysNAND CFW, the not recommended option route. Now, for this guide's purposes, I will be showing you how to do it the recommended way by having EmuNAND installed as well. Now, what do you need before you start the modding process? First off, you will need an unpatched V1 switch. Make sure to check the serial number on the bottom. Okay, there is a number here. The camera might not pick it up. But basically, you want to go to a site called ismyswitchpatch.com. You'll enter the prefix and the numbers that follow, and the site will let you know if your console is unpatched, possibly patched, or patched. If it is possibly patched, it is most likely patched, as there are only a handful of possibly patched switches in the wild that are moddable. And I believe as of this video, there are only 5 or 6 confirmed ones. Now, once you have a switch, the next thing you need is an SD card, right here. Preferably 64 gigs or greater. I personally believe a 128 gig SD card will do the trick, and you can get one for as cheap as $20 on Amazon. The next thing you need is a jig, which are these two things right here. Now, a jig Basically, a jig will be the easiest method for most newbies, and it is very cheap. It ranges from 5 to 10 and will help you get into RCM mode for your switch. You can also create a jig with a paper clip, but I do not recommend you doing this, as you can mess up the connectors on your switch. Now, the homebrew guide does recommend you get one from switchjigs.com. I do have one from them, which looks like this one right here to the left, this white one. There you go. And I also have another jig from Amazon that looks like this. Right there. Now, I will make sure to post the links in the description so you have access to both. They both do work for me, and I haven't had a problem with neither one nor the quality. Okay. Now, another thing you will need is a micro SD card reader for your PC. I highly suggest you do this on a Windows PC and not on a Mac. Now I have this one from Anchor. I will link this in the description as well, and you can see it right here. It has a micro SD and a regular SD card reader, and it is USB-C. You don't have to get a USB-C one. You can also get a regular USB one, depending on what you have on your PC, whichever port is available. Now, the final piece of equipment that most of you might already have, and it's a USB-A to USB-C data transfer cable, such as this. Most of you guys might have it for your Android phones if you have any, or any other tablets. So this is fairly easy to find. In case you don't have one, you can also find this online as well. Now that we have all of the materials that we need to get modding, I'm going to go ahead and switch over to my PC, and I will show you guys the next step. Hey guys, now that I'm back on my PC, the very first thing that you want to do when you're on your PC is you want to download the latest release of TegraRCMGUI. Now I'll have this link for you. Make sure you come down here and you download the zip file. Go ahead and download that. My downloads would automatically go to my desktop right here. Basically what you want to do is you want to extract that. I have the option to just drag it over. Now once you open that up, you're going to see the TegraRCMGUI.exe file, and basically what you want to do is double click that to launch it, and this is what you're going to get. Okay, now you'll see three options on the top: Payload, Tools, and Settings. Make sure you're on the Settings tab, and since this is your very first time, make sure you click on Install Driver. It says APX device driver is missing. Do you want to install it now? Go ahead and click yes. If a pop-up comes up like this, go ahead and click yes and wait for it to install, finish, and you should be good there. If you try and do it again, it should say that you already have it or not. Okay, so as long as you have installed your driver, you should be good. Now, before we get started with the whole process, if you are modding a V1 switch that you already currently use and you are using an SD card with your downloaded digital games in it, you will see a Nintendo folder in your SD card. Now, make sure you copy that folder over to your desktop so you can copy it back in, because when we format the SD card, everything on it is going to be deleted. So if this is a new switch and a new SD card, you won't have to worry about doing this step. Now, make sure you download, the next thing you basically want to do is making sure you download the latest release of Tegra Explorer, which is going to be on the guide. Now, on the guide, it's going to give you the latest release of Tegra Explorer. You're going to come down here and download the .bin file. And I have it right here on the desktop. Okay, now this is important for the next step. To make this whole process easier, I recommend downloading everything to your desktop so you know where it all is. Now remember, I will be posting the steps in the description as well, and the links to the files as I go through them in the video. So if you can read and follow this guide, you should have no problem with the steps. Now you want to make sure you put your switch into RCM mode. Let me go ahead and do that real quick. Let me put my SD card in. Make sure that my jig is slid in. Now, to put your switch into RCM mode, it's basically by holding the volume up button and pressing the power button once. Now the screen should stay black if you've done this correctly. If you see a Nintendo logo boot up, then you did this wrong. Once you have it in RCM mode, plug your switch into your PC with your USB-A to USB-C cable. Now I'm gonna go ahead and do that right now. Once I plug this in, there we go. Now you'll see on the bottom left of your TegraRCMGUI, the switch logo went from red to green, and that means you've done it correctly if you're in RCM mode. Now, next thing you want to do is you want to navigate to selecting a payload. We're going to go ahead and find the TegraExplorer.bin file. And if done correctly, you will see something pop up on your switch screen. So basically inject payload right here. I might have to restart this. Let's go ahead and launch that. RCM is okay. Click on inject. Oh, sorry. You want to click on right here, the folder icon. Scroll over to your desktop and you should see the TegraExplorer.bin file. Go ahead and click that and click open. Now once you have that here, you want to go ahead and click on inject payload. There we go. Now I will go over these steps again so you can see how it was done on the switch side, and then we can continue from there. Okay guys, so let's go over to the switch and redo these steps so you can see it again. Alright guys, now to refresh again from the previous step, I am going to backtrack so you see what was happening on the switch end. First things first, make sure you have your switch completely powered off and you put your SD card in, okay? So make sure you have your SD card, you open this up here, and you put it in the correct way. You should hear a click. Alright, good. Once you put your SD card in, you want to put your switch into RCM mode. Once again, it's done by holding the volume up button and then pressing the power button once, okay? So volume up button, hold that down, and then the power button, you're just going to click it once and then you can let go. Oh, so you see what happened there? I did it wrong. So if you see the Nintendo Switch logo pop up, that means you didn't put it into RCM mode correctly. Now, if you did this, do you know why this happened? Possibly because you didn't put your jig in. So let's do that again. You can hold down the power button. You are going to go to power options, turn it off. So as we mentioned before, make sure your SD card is in, and next thing you want to do is make sure you put your jig in. So you want to go to your right Joy-Con rail, you want to take the jig, and you just want to put it in, and you want to slide it all the way down until you hear a click. Okay. Once you hear the click, you are all set to enter RCM mode. So hold down that power volume up button, and then click the power button once, and then that's it. So important steps, always make sure you have the jig in if you are trying to enter into RCM mode, or it will not work. Make sure, like I did, you hold down the volume up button, and as you're holding it down, you press the power button once. Alright, so if you did this correctly, the switch is going to stay on a black screen. Now, what you want to do next, as I was showing it to you on the PC side, you're basically going to take the USB-C and you're going to connect it to your switch. There you go. And then basically TegraRCMGUI is going to say RCM OK on your PC or your laptop, and you're going to inject that TegraExplorer.bin file. Once once you inject it, you are gonna see this screen right here. Let me just show you guys right there. Now this will help format your SD card through your switch to FAT32. Now since you can't use your Joy-Cons to navigate, you'll be using your volume up and down buttons, and you'll be using the power button to select your options, okay? So first thing you want to do is make sure, I think the volume up button should bring you down, yes. So what you want to do is you want to use the volume up button and you want to navigate to the SD format option, which is right there. And you want to click on the power button to select that option, okay? Alright, so once you do that, you're going to come to this screen and you're going to see the following options, okay? What you want to do is, if you don't see that SD format option, by the way, that means you're just double check and make sure that your SD card is inserted, and then when you're done, you want to go ahead and click Mount SD. Now, if you already have it set up and you got to the screen like I did, you want to go ahead and navigate to Format for EmuMMC Setup, okay? And it's the second option right there. It says for FAT32 RAW. Format for, yep, okay. And then what you want to do is you want to press the power button to confirm this option, okay? Now, it's going to tell you to wait 10 seconds to format your SD card, so it's just a warning. Now, just a reminder that this will delete all of the data on your SD card. Make sure you backed up your Nintendo folder like I suggested in the earlier steps. This should only take you a few seconds. Now, once it's done, you could see that it says press A to press B to return, press A to continue. I'm gonna go ahead and click the power button, and you could see that it's partitioning the SD card. And that's it. It only took 4 seconds, and it says press any button to return. Like it says, you can click whatever button that you want to return to the main menu. Then make sure you navigate to the exit and press the button, press the power button to enter the exit menu, okay? So go ahead, go to exit, click the power button. Now it's going to give you a couple of options: reboot to RCM, reboot normally, or power off. Basically what we're going to do is reboot to RCM and press the power button. And that's it. And now it's safe for you to take out your SD card. So I'm going to go ahead, take that out, and I'm going to go ahead and take the SD card out. Alright. So basically now we can continue with the rest of the guide. Make sure that once you eject your SD card, you put it into your SD card reader, whatever it may be. It doesn't have to be like mine. Make sure it's in there correctly. And then you're going to put this into your PC, and we'll switch over to my PC again for the next part of the guide. Alright? Alright guys, back onto my PC. I inputted the SD card in. Now Windows does not like the FAT32 partition, so it's going to give you a message like the one it's giving me, saying you need to format the disk in Drive F before you can use it. They are lying. Don't click on the format button. We already formatted it to FAT32 and we don't want it to be formatted to exFAT. So all you want to do is just go ahead and click cancel, okay? Now on the guide you should be on the SD preparations tab, and what you want to do is you want to download all the files that they're telling us to download here in order, okay? So very first you want to make sure you download the latest release of Hekate, right? Go ahead and click on that. It's going to bring you to this page. The newest release was actually released 4 days ago as of October, and this is actually really great. They made a lot of good changes. Make sure that you are downloading the zip file. Go ahead and download that. It should be on my desktop right there, okay? So the next thing that you want to download is the config file right here, Hekate IPL.ini. Go ahead and click that. Now it says this type of file can harm your computer. Do you want to download it anyway? Go ahead and click keep. Now that's on my desktop. The next step is the boot logo zip folder. Go ahead and download that. Then you want to make sure you download the latest release of Atmosphere. Now you're going to click the link. This is also released 5 days ago, the latest version. So this is also really great for you guys who are just starting off. Now you want to scroll down, you're going to see a bunch of options here. Now do not download the experimental one. You want to make sure you download on the very first one that says master, okay? Download that zip file. Alright. Once you downloaded Atmosphere, what you want to do next is download the latest release of LockpickRCM.bin. So you click it and you're going to see where it says LockpickRCM.bin. Go ahead and download that. Now, next it's going to tell you to download Checkpoint. You're going to click on the link. You're going to scroll down and you want to download checkpoint.nro. Go ahead and click on that. Once you're done with that, it tells you to download the latest release of FTPD. Let's go ahead there. Find ftpd.nro, click on that and it should download. Next thing is the NX themes installer. Theme installer right here, and make sure you download the NRO of that. And then there is NX shell, same thing, nxshell.nro. Also the latest release of the HB App Store. So you're going to click on that, scroll down, and then download what you see for appstore.nro. Perfect. So one that's not actually in here is actually JKSV. Now this is a save editor that it's like an alternative to Checkpoint, and a lot of people use it, especially for Animal Crossing. So I will also link this. So go ahead down and click on jksv.nro, okay? And you're going to download that to your PC. Now I'm going to X out of all of these that we downloaded. Also going to X out of that. Now you should have all of these files right here chilling on your desktop. Now what you want to do next is you want to open up the root of your SD card. Now you may hear the word root a lot. Root simply means the main section of your SD card when you open it up. So when I open it up, it says this folder is empty. This is the root of your SD card. Now, I'm going to go over the next couple of steps slowly so you guys know exactly what to do. Now the files that are zipped, make sure you unzip them and place them on your desktop. My laptop allows me to just copy the files directly from zipped files, so I don't have to do that, but for you guys, you might have to actually unzip the folder. Now, what you want to do first is you want to copy the contents of the atmosphere.zip file, which is this one, and you want to copy it over to the root of your SD card. Okay, so once you unzip it, you're going to see all of these files, and you're just going to copy it into the root of your SD card. There we go. Wait for that to finish, and that's it for the atmosphere part. Now what you want to do is you want to copy the bootloader folder from the Hekate.zip file, which is this one. When you open that up, you're going to see the bootloader folder. Okay, you want to copy this bootloader folder and bring it to the root of your SD card. Alright, now that you did that, you want to copy the bootloader folder from the bootlogos.zip file. Now, you find the bootlogos.zip file, make sure it's unzipped, and there's a bootloader folder in there as well, so don't get confused. Now, you also want to copy and paste this in here. Now, there's already a bootloader folder in there, so when you drag it in, it might tell you to merge the folders. If it does, go ahead and click yes. My computer automatically merges them. Yours might do the same. Okay? So inside your bootloader folder, it should look like this. Alright, so we did that part. Now, the next thing you want to do is copy the Hekate IPL.ini file into the bootloader folder on your SD card, okay? So let's go ahead and find that. Where was that? Hekate. Oh, here it is. So you want to take this file right here and place it into the bootloader folder of your SD card. So let's open the bootloader folder. So these are the 4 folders you should see. Go ahead and take this and copy it into there. Okay. Now the next thing you want to do is you want to copy the lockpick.rcm.bin file also into the bootloader payloads folder. So you're in bootloader right now. So let's go back. Bootloader. Now you see a payloads folder, double click that. Now it says this folder is empty. Now you want to make sure you click the lockpick.rcm.bin file and you want to drag it into this folder. Okay? Now when you go back to the main, to the root, you're going to see a switch folder. Double click this. Now you'll see daybreak.nro and reboot to payload.nro. You want to make a new folder in here, okay? Now you want to title this folder as App Store. And then open that up. And then you're going to put appstore.nro in here, okay? Here it is, appstore.nro. And you're going to put that into the switch folder. Into the App Store folder that you created inside the switch folder. Alright. Now, the next thing that you want to do is you want to copy all of the NROs that we downloaded. The checkpoint.nro, FTPD, NXShell, and the NX themes installer, and the JKSV that we downloaded into the switch folder on your SD card. So go ahead and double click on the switch folder. Now you're going to take JKSV, App Store, the JKSV, NXShell, NX themes installer, FTPD.nro, and the checkpoint, and you're going to go ahead and drag that into the switch folder. And there you go. This is how your switch folder should look like at this point. Alright, now let's go back to the root of your SD card again. And if you already had your Nintendo folder that I told you about on your SD card previously, especially if this is a switch that you were using to play, make sure you copy that back into the root of your SD card here. Okay, now this might take some time depending on how long it is. Since the switch is new and we don't really have to worry about that, it's automatically going to create a new Nintendo folder for us, so we don't have to copy anything in. Now once we have gotten all these files into our SD card, you want to make sure your root looks exactly like this, and even in the guide it has a picture, and you just want to make sure that when you compare it looks exactly the same. Atmosphere, bootloader, you won't have the Nintendo folder unless you already backed it up, so if you didn't back it up, don't worry about that. And then you'll see the set, switch, and hbmenu.nro folder. So if you see that, then you've done this whole section correctly. If it doesn't look like this, rewatch the steps and make sure you've done it right. Now we're going to go ahead and put the SD card into the switch next to continue the rest of the steps, okay? Hey guys, just a quick note before I switch back over to the switch. Make sure that in your TegraRCMGUI, it might say TegraExplorer.bin. We're not going to be using that anymore. Make sure that when you have extracted your Hekate.zip file, that inside it, there's going to be a Hekate, this file right here, this .bin file. You want to make sure that's the payload that's going to be injected into the switch. Okay, so this is what you're going to be injecting for the next steps. Alright guys, so for the next step, you want to make sure you start your switch normally and delete any Wi-Fi networks you may have. You can add them back after you complete everything on this guide. Now I already went ahead and removed the Wi-Fi networks that I already had set up on this switch. So you guys can go ahead and do the same. Now what you want to do next is open up your TegraRCMGUI on your PC and make sure you have that Hekate payload as I showed you and not the Tegra Explorer. Now before you inject it, make sure you are back in RCM mode. Remember, put your jig back in place, volume up and power button, and then you insert your SD cable. Once you put that back in, go into your TegraRCMGUI, and you're going to go ahead and click on Inject Payload. Okay. Once you click on Inject Payload, you're going to see the Hekate screen pop up right here. All right. Good. Now, if you're on this screen, you did this part right, you can go ahead and you can even disconnect if you want. What you want to do next is you want to use the touch screen, and you want to navigate over to EmuMMC right here, and then you want to click on Create EmuMMC right here. Once you do that, you're going to see this pop up. Welcome to EmuMMC Creation Tool. Please choose what type of EMU you want to create. So what you want to do is you want to go ahead and click on SD partition in the middle. Once you click on that, some options pop up. Basically, you want to click on tap on part 1 right there. It's going to go ahead and start making the EmuMMC, okay? When it's done making this, you want to return to the EmuMMC menu by using the close button. So I'm not going to sit here and make you guys see until it's done, so I'll just go ahead and fast forward this video for you guys. Alright guys, so it is finally done. Now you're going to see the close button on the top right. Go ahead and click that. Now what you want to do is tap on Change EmuMMC over here, then click on SD Raw 1. It's going to say the EmuMMC configuration was saved to the SD card, and then you want to click OK, and then you'll be back to the main menu. After you're done with that, let's go ahead and make a NAND backup. Now this is very important, as this can help you restore the device to a working state in case of any emergencies. Now once a backup is safe, you can keep it somewhere safe. You don't need to keep the backup folder on your SD card. I usually keep it somewhere on my PC. Now in order to make this backup, use the touchscreen to navigate to Tools and then Backup EmuMMC. So let's make sure we're back on the home screen right here. And then you'll see the Tools button up top, okay? So let's go to Tools right there, and you'll see a bunch of options here. Now what you want to do is you want to hit on Backup EMMC right here, the very first option. Good. And then you want to click on EMMC Boot 0 and Boot 1, which is the very first option. Now it should do this pretty quickly. It's checking for available free space. Let's make sure that it runs through, and it's finished and verified. Alright, tap on close when you're done, and then the next part is going to be the EMMC raw GPP. Go ahead and click on that. Now this will take a much longer time depending on your SD card. I won't make you guys sit here and watch this whole process either, so I'll come back to it when we are done, okay? So let's go ahead. Alright guys, so now the EMMC raw GPP backup was done. Mine said it took 19 minutes to do. I went ahead and clicked on the close button that was on the top right, and I navigated back to the home menu. Now the next step is to get your console's unique keys. Now these are important to have in case of an extreme emergency. Now they can be used in conjunction with your NAND backup to restore your console to a working state. Now first, make sure you're already in RCM mode, you're in Hekate. Now you want to navigate to the Payloads button right here, and you want to make sure that you click on lockpickrcm.bin. Now you're going to come across the screen right here. I'm going to give you some time to go ahead and read through these prompts. Now if it prompts you to reboot to SEPT, press power button to do so. A SEPT by Atmosphere logo will then display. If not, don't worry about it. If it asks you to choose between SysNAND or EmuMMC, like it does here, you want to make sure that you go ahead and choose SysNAND. Now, same thing applies as before. You want to use the volume up and down keys and then press the power button to select it. So make sure it's on dump from SysNAND right here, and you click the power button to do so. You'll see that boot logo come up and then a bunch of prompts, and then it's gonna say lockpick totally done, blah blah blah, wrote this many bytes to switch prod dot keys, and then press any key to return to the main menu. So you can go ahead and do that, and then once you're here you can click home, and then you can just click on power. And then you can just go ahead and click on power off. So let's go ahead and do that. Now, once you're done with that step, you can go ahead and put your SD card back into your PC. So don't forget to take it out, put it back into your PC. Copy the backup folder to your PC somewhere, and then go ahead and delete it off your Switch's SD card. And then you want to make sure you copy the prod keys from the Switch folder to wherever you copied your NAND back up to, and then you can delete that as well from your Switch SD card. Alright guys, now if you've gotten this far, you have basically successfully modded your Nintendo Switch. Now, like I said before, make sure that you have a backup. The backup from your Nintendo Switch folder, make sure you copy it over to your desktop and keep it somewhere on your PC that's safe. I zipped it up over here, as you can see, so everything's in there, and I'll probably just put it on an external hard drive. So that's something that you can do. Now, there is no other steps after you modded your Switch. Now, I do recommend going through the guide that I have linked in the description. All of my steps were done exactly through this guide. Now, it does have some extra sections. I highly recommend you take a look at them in case you have additional questions, especially if you want to update your CFW in the future. Steps are written out here in detail. Now, if you have any other questions, feel free to join my Discord server, and I will try to answer them as best as possible. And if there's nothing else, that's about it. Thank you guys for watching. Make sure to like and subscribe, and that's it. Thank you.
Whoa. Whoa.